So we were kind of trying to develop this sound that sounded sort of like sun bleached and bright without it sounding too happy clappy.
MoreCore.TV at Full Force 2024. We're here with Henry from Boston Manor. Good to have you here.
How you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. I guess it's your second time at Full Force Festival. Are you happy to be back?
Super happy. We just got here, and I knew I had this interview, and I kind of got out of the van and was like, I have a vague memory of where I am, and just from kind of like the vague memory in the back of my head, I kind of found my way to the press area, and I arrived here on time, just about. So yeah, I'm stoked to be back. It was awesome last year when we played. Like, really cool site. Great festival, good times, good crowd, so today should be really fun.
Yeah, cool, good to hear. I would say in terms of live shows, last year was relatively quiet for you. Did you miss touring and playing live shows last year?
Very much so, yeah. It was a big year for us personally. We had a lot of stuff going on in our lives, and we've spent a year making an album, so we kind of had decided well in advance to take the year, not take it totally off the road, because we still did some touring, but it was, like you say, much quieter than usual. So yeah, it was weird. And when we came back, we did some like small shows in April in the UK, and it was I felt rusty the first couple of shows coming back into it for sure. Pulled my hamstring.
You already mentioned it. You recently announced a new record, Sundiver, out in September, I guess.
Yes.
So can you tell us more about the story behind the album title?
The album title, the album title kind of came from the cover in a sense. It's kind of, we kind of worked backwards with that, but it's the second part of a two-part concept album. De Toro was part one, which came out in 2022, and it kind of documents a period of kind of like downfall and redemption, I suppose, to put it in a kind of cheesy sum up way, I don't know, but yeah, we kind of had this idea of making this double album that was split into two parts, the first half being like really noiry and dark and set over one evening, and then it ends when the dawn breaks, and then part two is the following day. But it kind of started spiraling out into this much bigger concept, Sundiver that is, and we kind of were obsessed with this kind of feeling of like positivity, but not feeling sort of sunny and happy and kind of cheesy. Do you know what I mean? So we were kind of trying to develop this sound that sounded sort of like sun bleached and bright without it sounding too happy clappy. And yeah, and that's kind of what we were focused on. And we drive past this huge glass sculpture on the way into Blackpool, made by this incredibly talented artist whose name is currently escaping me. I'm really sorry, but it's massive. It's like 25 feet tall, and it's this big kind of glass star explosion. I don't know what you would call it, but it just looks like this kind of embodiment of like power and positivity and just energy. And we kind of decided that's what we wanted the cover to be. And Sundiver, it was just a kind of word that was born out of that, really. And a lot of the record also deals with kind of like different, not alternate dimensions, but the idea of different things that could happen depending on the decisions that you make, It's what that song Sliding Doors is about. And the kind of idea of kind of falling into different worlds. So it all kind of seemed to get summed up in this image of this kind of crazy star or this sun. So that's kind of where the name came from.
Yeah, cool. You already talked about the sound of the new album, and you already released 3 new singles. Would you say these singles are a good first impression of what we can expect from Sundiver?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's a thread that kind of runs through all of them. And a lot of the songs kind of, they go to different places on the record. They're all a little bit different, but they all kind of, I think, give you kind of a similar feeling. So yeah, I think it's a fairly good representation. There's a few twists and turns that people probably won't expect. So pre-order the record if you haven't already.
Yeah, we will, definitely. Maybe a difficult question for you, but let's try it. If you had to rank Sundiver within your discography, where would you put it and why?
So we went down to a music video shoot the other side of the country last week, and 4 of us were just in the van driving down, and so we rather self-indulgently just listened to our entire discography, like front to back. And there's some records that I haven't listened to in like years and years and years. And we did this. We kind of like ranked what we thought was the best. And I think Sundiver for me is tied with Datura for the best album, I think. And I've had the kind of more or less the final mixes of the album for like 6 months. I listen to them constantly, and I'm still not bored of it, you know. So I think that's a good sign. But it's the record that I think every band tends to think their most recent record is their best record. So it's hard to be unbiased, you know. But I truly do think it is our best album.
You already announced that Harriet did a feature on DC Mini, the last title, the last track of the album. How did you come up with the idea to work together with Harriet, and what can we expect from the song? We haven't heard it.
I mean, shout out to Harriet. They're an amazing band. We did some shows with them on the Datura cycle, a handful of shows, and we just thought they were so incredible. And they, you know, very different sounding band to us, very heavy, but also coming from like a really unique place within the kind of sound that they create. And you know, we kind of had wanted to collaborate with them for a while, and I think there was a bunch of things that we could have done that would maybe be more obvious, like obviously Sliding Doors has loads of screaming on it, so you know, we could have just had Debbie do all the screams on that, but we kind of wanted to take a different approach, and I think people would be pleasantly surprised that DC Mini, the song that they're on is as much different than kind of what you would expect as somebody who is as gnarly as Debbie to feature on. But she's incredible. She's amazing singer and screamer, and yeah, we kind of wanted to let her kind of do her thing and not just kind of another day at the office with super heavy stuff, you know.
You haven't done a proper European headliner tour in a while. Is there something we can expect in the future? Yeah, we're doing a full headline tour Europe in November, so we're going to announce it pretty soon. But that's a MoreCore exclusive for you guys. But yeah, that should be going online and up for sale in the next week or so, I think. So I'm super excited about that. We really haven't come to Europe as much as we should have done. We love touring here, especially Germany. It's awesome. So yeah, we're excited for that. It's the biggest tour we've done in Europe so far. Cool. At last, maybe a personal question. You became a father about 6 months ago, I guess? Exactly, 6 months exactly, actually. Cool. Yeah. Very good. So what would you say, how difficult is it to leave your family to go on tour, and what has changed the most to your attitude towards the band and the way you work with the band? What's changed in your life? Yeah, I mean, it's incredible. It's the most incredible thing that's ever happened to me, you know. And it is hard. This is the longest I will have been away from her since she was born. The tour that we did in April, there was like a bunch of off days, so I just went home on the off days and stuff. And it sucks, you know, like my wife sends me pictures of her obviously like all day, every day, and she's at such a young age where I'm just wondering, like, you know, is there going to be like loads of milestones that she hits while I'm away, and you know, and that sucks. But you know, my wife's super supportive, and you know, I think the thing that it does mean is that when I'm off the road, I get to be at home all the time, which is really cool. You know, a lot of people don't have that luxury, so I'm super grateful for that. In terms of perspective, it is really interesting because our drummer also became a father around a similar time, which is cool because we kind of have each other to kind of little dad club. But we talk about it a lot, you know, and it is really interesting. It sort of really alters your perspective in a way. Like nothing feels different, but everything feels different, you know. And when it comes to I think the main thing is when it comes to something that is maybe in the past would have like really bothered you, or you would have gotten quite stressed out about or anxious about, it gives you this like really kind of like zoned out perspective on things, and things that I personally probably would have been very focused on in the past are a bit more, not in a bad way, but a bit more insignificant than they might have been now. And it kind of allows you to kind of cut through some of the noise and just kind of focus on the things that matter, I think. And it's also just, it opens your heart in a huge way and just makes you a lot more vulnerable and emotional and gentle, I think. Is it something you can use for your work as a musician? Definitely. Oh yeah, absolutely. It is allowed me to kind of connect with myself in a kind of more vulnerable way, and just obviously made me, and it makes you think about yourself less. You know,
you can't be selfish, you know. So I think even just the kind of process of your whole life is about another person. You have to put them before you at all costs. It kind of makes you a more empathetic person, and makes you, I think, be able to relate to other people as well, more than you may have done in the past. And maybe that's just getting older as well. I think that's something that happens as you age. You know, everyone's quite selfish when they're like 21. You know.
All right. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much. Cheers.